I'm going to do separate versions of this keyword research video. Now, this is meant to be applicable for anyone. So if you want to do this 100% free, there's going to be a methodology which I'll show you first. Then I'm going to show you something that's pretty much free, as long as you have a free account of Claude or ChatGPT or any of the large language models. That'll work perfectly for this as well. And then I'm going to show you an example of how we do it very, very quickly using things like Helium 10. And we'll have a link to the product. We aren't affiliated with Helium 10 or anything. It's just a good product to have for your Amazon business journey. And I think there's a discount code for like a month free as well. So you can just do that, use the link. The first example is to use what's called the alphabet soup method for any algorithm. Now, let's say I'm going to have a few specific examples for this. So the ones I tend to go for are things like gym equipment, cables, bike racks, things like that are quite generic. But you can do it for pretty much anything. Let's say, for example, that you sell, let's say plant climbers, right? Now, if we type in plant climbers, we're going to get all of these fairly similar looking competitors. And this is kind of like starting from scratch. So whatever your primary, biggest, most generic keyword is, enter that into Amazon, and then we'll go from there. From here, to run you can ignore this example. In fact, let me open an incognito tab just so we don't have Helium 10 set up. That will be a little bit misleading. So let's say we can just stay in the UK for now. Let's say we are doing a plant climber. Again, we enter our first keyword and you can see same screen, right? If we click here, you can see we get all of the recommendations from Amazon. Now, the issue is going through these individually will take forever, right? So there's a few methods. If you really want to do this individually and go hyper deep on keyword research, this is a good place to start. 100% free, really, really simple to do. You can train up a team member if you need to. You can just send them this video. But in general, this takes forever. So the reason is, if you imagine we're going to screenshot these keywords, add them to a document, then we're going to take all of the variations from A, B, C, D, E, etc. So you see how this recommended keyword is coming up, and when we go for F, these batches, and then when we go for E, F, G, H, etc. Now, the reason why I'm not going through this in too much detail is A, it takes forever, because you would then want to do it for each individual long tail keyword. So we would go on to here, and then we would go, and then we would do the same thing. Now, a lot of these are going to be less, but you can see we can actually find some really good long tail keywords just from doing this, what's called alphabet soup method. The issue is this is super, super manual, and most people will be like, I can't be bothered to do that, which is why I'm kind of fast tracking through this. But if you imagine some of these are going to be relatively simple to rank for just because they're so niche. So if we have a look at this example, one of the key things you can do, which I'll get onto more in the later part of this section, is search the exact keyword within Amazon and see if anybody has it in the exact title of their listing. Now you can see here, they don't. So if our product was built, maybe this is our most important keyword plan, climbing support, we can actually tailor that and reverse engineer ideas based on keywords and then reverse it back into USPs, unique selling points for products. Now this is a little bit more advanced. There's a whole section, a whole video on this at the end of the course, but this is actually a really, really good way to go from 0 to 5, 10 sales a day without doing anything crazy. Because if your product is directly targeted for this, but they don't have it in their listing, then you will pretty much outrank them once you start to get a few keyword focused sales, which we'll touch on later. So this is like a good example to get like a really, really wide range of keywords. The problem is, it takes forever. So there's a better way. If you go into your large language model of choice, now you can use Claude, ChatGPT. We can split test both for this, might be a good example. So let's say, we'll use the same prompt as well. So we can say, can you generate a list of keywords, including LSI long tail variations for a product we're launching on Amazon? Now, this is where a lot of people stop, but what you would need to do is then prompt it based on the method to use. So you say, please use the alphabet soup method of finding keywords for the Amazon UK, let's say for this example, or let's just say USA algorithm. Now, I would probably go even further and say, please ensure something like this. Okay, now the key part here is we need individual ones, and we want to say something like including all long tail keyword variations, because that's where we're going to make the majority of our money on Amazon once we launch. If you imagine, if we launching this plant climbers example, if we just search plant climber, are we going to really be competing with 1,000 reviews, 1,600, 600, 3,500, etc.? And even the price points are quite low. So it's going to be really tough for us to come in with, 100 reviews or 10 reviews to start and come in and dominate this keyword. Instead, we want to look for long tail variations. Okay, so if you imagine stem hold'em, it's a good start, but it's still going to be too long. But actually, this is perfect, right? So you can see this came up as an example, and even though I'm set to UK for now, there's one review, 8, 6, 7. Now, obviously, if we switched over to US, it would be way more. Let's take a quick look, actually. So this is going to be higher, but you can see it's actually pretty good. Even if we come in and do this, we can actually rank pretty quickly. And you see the keyword difficulty now is like 1, 0. There's all these like really tame products, and they're just optimized properly for a keyword like this. Whereas if we go back to just plant climber, we're competing with those people who had hundreds of reviews. And you see this across everything. And I think people don't value the opportunity of long tail keywords on Amazon because they think, okay, people just type in, the generic version and then just go from there. Obviously, the search volume for something like this is going to be 100 times higher than the long tail examples. But if somebody sees something that looks more for them and they search it, that's actually an even more targeted individual as well. So this one would be an example of something that wouldn't be a good idea, just because we're still competing against, apart from maybe this one here, we're still competing against people with a ton of reviews, and yeah, 41's the lowest, price points are really low. Probably wouldn't do this, but we could even look for a longer tail keyword, right? So I don't know why there's clear on the bottom of this, but if you had a product that was clear, then we would want to rank for those. But you can see this person has these variations of the keywords in their title, and that's why they're doing, a K a month in sales. So yeah, you can see this example. It's probably not as good as the other one, but you get the idea around the concept, right? So if we go back to here, and then we would have to give them our primary keyword. So we would just put it up here. The product is, let's just say, plant climber, and see how we go. Let's also do the same thing on ChatGPT. You can use 4.0 or the older ones as well. And you can see how it's going through this, right? A, B, C, etc. A, B, C, etc. Now these are probably going to be pretty similar to each other. But you can see Claude has only given us 3 per. But what I really like about this is each one of these is a really, really nice keyword. So we can add all of these later back into our listing optimization, which is what we're going to do. And we can even do it in like a really easy way, which I'll get onto in a second. But if your product's made of bamboo, obviously put that in. Then you've got vines, you've got balcony. This is probably a brand name. I'm not, a big plant guy, so I'm not sure. This is what some of them are built with. It's like coconut, brown sort of thing, I think. So that's like a really good keyword. Trellis. And this might be another example. So doesn't look like a brand name actually, so maybe add that in as well. And you can see we've got all of these really nice examples. When we get down to like X, Y, Z, it's probably not going to have much for us. X-shaped extreme weather, they're a bit creative near the end. But we've got all these long tail keyword variations as well. Also, putting best in your listing is a really nice idea. Not so much for Amazon rankings, but for YouTube and sorry, not YouTube, for Google rankings, because if you can optimize your listing correct from the start, within your URL, you have the keyword. So for example, if we have a look at this person, you can't see the URL here, but let me just move this down. You can see this is their URL, and it's not very good. It's not very well optimized for specific keywords. They've got their brand name and everything in. Whereas if we built it from scratch with all of these keywords in, title, at the start of the title, we're going to have that put into the URL. So we don't have direct control over the URL on Amazon, but indirectly we do. So let's have a look at ChatGPT's. Durable, adjustable, Amazon Plan Climber, artificial, affordable, aesthetic. So all of these are really, really good. What I'm probably going to do is I'm just going to add them both, because when we get into a later example, it's going to be a lot easier to just add everything in one go. So let's put all these in here. Let's get another tab. Let's throw all of Claude's in as well. I quite like having these longer tail variations in. So everything from A, so let's do this. And now totally free, because both of those things you could have used on a free plan of either Claude or ChatGPT. And not only do we have really nice keywords, but we actually have things that are going to be integrated back into our USPs of product and adjusting for like long tail keywords when we come to rank them. So if you imagine, if we were saying, let's say this one, we would also want to go a step further as well. So we could do like repeat this based on using each keyword. So let's see if this works. So repeat this process using each keyword as the seed keyword again, if possible, for let's just say larger, more popular search terms. So what we're trying to do here is have the large language model use each keyword and then run the process again. Now, whether this will work individually, I'm not sure. I'll show you how we actually do this. So you can see here, now we've got even more granular detail, which is great. Now, from here, this is how we build out our on-page optimization. Everything starts with keyword research in a really clean, effective way. And again, you don't need to do anything. You can just take this and you can actually use our tool. So you see here, they've only done a few more, but what we can do is we can just take this and you can read what it's saying. Long tail variations, back end search terms, yada, yada, yada. So we can take this, we can add these in as well. Now, I don't know about urban farming equipment, but everything for now is a good idea. And what you need to do is basically refine these and delete anything that's not relevant to your keyword. So let's say if ours isn't made of bamboo, we would just want to remove anything related to bamboo on the entire listing. So apparently it's just this one. So let's say ours isn't. Yeah. Then we go down, durable, yada yada. Let's say let's find a different one. Let's say ours is not Japanese, for example. It's not jute. But things like kiwi vine support, that's a keyword that you would never find just by doing a normal like alphabet soup method. Whereas you can do it here, and it's so niche relevant that I just really like the approach. So so you see here now, if we integrate this keyword once in the description, we're probably going to rank pretty well. 89, 9, and 16, top 3. Easily very possible to outrank all of those very quickly. Things like this, a little bit more broad, but we can integrate all of these in the future. Okay, so what I like to do now is basically recopy everything and just get it in one clean place. So what you would do is you would make sure that all of these are at least somewhat relevant to your product. So for example, let's say if ours is not Y-shaped or zigzag, obviously don't optimize for that. And this X shape, let's take these off. Let's say this is not relevant as well, but you get the main concept, right? The next thing that I do is, just because I like to have everything formatted in a nice way, is just to post everything in here. Okay, so there's actually an easier way to do this. If you just basically have everything in one sheet, get rid of this, let's just say keyword research climber. So you've got everything in here, it doesn't need to be formatted. Download this and then just say you basically want to format all of this into a clean way, so into one doc, removing dupes, and we can just say like sorting by we don't want to say alphabetical because that will make things a little bit more difficult to do later on. Sorting by core category is probably a good idea for now. Then we would upload our doc. So we would upload our doc. Not sure why that didn't work very well. 1 second. Okay, I'm going to just use this here because for some reason Google didn't like that formatting. So then it should go through all of this. ChatGPT tends to be better for any data analysis type things as well, but Claude is better for any actual content or optimization. That's generally the rule that seems to be going around. But once this is done, I'll get this doc back. Okay, so that was like 10 seconds later. Formatted, deduplicated, etc., etc. So then we can download this. Have a look how this looks now. And you can see we've got all of this key information in one place. And it's actually been added to that as well. So it has sorted by alphabetical, which is fine. Come across, paste that in there. Wait for that to load, for some reason taking a while. Okay, not sure why that took so long. But yeah, so now we've got everything in one place, which is really nice. Adaptable, adjustable, guard, blah, blah, blah. And this is basically an elite 315, 316 list keyword that is all incredibly relevant to our specific product. And just like that, in 17 minutes or so, we have basically as well optimized keywords list that you can do, better than any tool on the market. But it did take 17 minutes, and we like to work fast. So let's say we go back to Plant Climber, and we're going to find a product here. I guess Trellis is maybe like a US based way of saying things. All we can do now is take a couple of top ranking competitors. Usually you will want to take like the best within an industry. So let's find the one that says that it's selling the most just based on generally. So this looks pretty good. 2K, anything above that. Again, you don't need any tools for this. 6K is pretty good. Let's use this one. So then what we're going to do is we're going to come in. We're going to take this ASIN from the URL. And then we're going to go over to Helium 10. Make sure you're in the right marketplace and hit get keywords. And what this is going to do is it's going to basically find all the keywords that this product ranks organically for. And this is a massive, quick way of doing keyword research, but also more like streamlined as well. So now if we scroll down, we can see we've got 4,300 keywords that are filtered to our specific product. We also have estimated search volume. Take this with a pinch of salt. It's not the most accurate thing in the world, but it's a good guideline. But you can probably see that a lot of these are going to be on our keyword list already, I would assume. Actually not. Interesting. So this is probably good to add, which is going to give us a massive list, but I'll show you how to refine this in a second. So if we're going more the moss pole type keywords, which is also related to plant climbers, but a little bit different, we can basically come in and say we want anything that has a search volume above, let's say 30 for now, and an organic rank between 1 and let's say 50. Now the reason we want to refine this a little bit is just because otherwise we're going to have a massive list of keywords, a lot of which are outside the top 50. So if you have a look at the keywords that are above 50th, it's going to be 3,000 or so. Okay, none apparently. It's because I had a 0 on the end of there. So 1,600 keywords, but a lot of these are not going to be that relevant. So we've got plant hanger, plants bulk, tools, like this is okay-ish, but like a lot of these are not quite really relevant. Pot support, like decorated 8-foot plant stakes. Like, this stuff is not really related to what we're trying to do. So instead, we go 50 plus and search volume 30 plus. Sorry, not 50 plus. 1 to 50th, search volume 30 plus. And then we have a really nice clean list. You can start to remove any phrases like that are brands, or say, for example, you don't want anything related to these keywords. We can get rid of some of those. Then we can say, okay, let's say, for example, you didn't want the word fluted. I don't even know what this is in regards to this, but it's a good example. We could just start integrating loads of these. And let's say for some reason you didn't want the word moss in there. Apply filters, that's going to remove a decent chunk. So now we're down to 720. Okay. Now I'm going to come in and just remove all of these for now. But this is good for getting rid of popular brand names. So if you imagine you were doing a product where a brand ranks really well, you can come in and take those out. So I don't think this is going to be relevant for this particular product. Potentially anything with the word pot in might be worth removing, just because it's not actually that relevant to this specific example, but we're going to leave it in for now. Now, don't worry about going through each keyword individually. I'm going to show you like a fast track way to do that in a second, but all you'd want to do is export this data. CSV or this is fine. Take it in a CSV and then copy this over to our doc as well. Now, you can leave the search volume in if you want. For this particular example, yeah, let's take it over. So basically copy all these 700, 800 odd keywords that we had, throw them into our other doc. I'm going to just have a new sheet for this, paste them in. For some reason, things take a second at the moment. Search volume, organic rank, and then we can obviously play around with these at a later date if we need to. Now, I'm probably going to have a separate video on competition analysis, which will continue from here, because it's really important to understand like how to integrate search volumes and organic ranks, or organic ranks of your competitors, but more niching down. So in the next video, we'll cover each competitor, how to niche down into keywords, and how to write things like hyper optimized USPs, which then go into your titles. Because the main issue that I see people make in general is they'll launch a semi-generic product on Amazon. They won't have 600 reviews. They won't have a powerful brand. They won't have different pricing even. They'll have similar prices. And then they'll just get stuck and they'll wonder why they can't beat someone doing 120K a month. You can't come in and expect to get to this level. So what you need to do is you need to reverse engineer what this person is ranking for, that they, I don't want to say don't deserve to rank for, but aren't like built for. So for example, anything that this person ranks first or second for is probably not going to be the biggest opportunity. Instead, you want to see where they're ranking maybe in this sort of range, and keywords that have good search volume but not massive, that we can come in and rank really, really quickly and almost steal sales for. So these 20 or 265 keywords are going to be real big opportunities for us. So this particular like tree type is going to be good. There's a long tail keyword on Mansettia. Plant stakes, interesting. Spelled wrong, I guess. Branding names, long tail keywords, things like this. So this is basically how you could optimize. You could optimize around like pet friendly and then have all of those variations in. And then even in your imagery and branding, you could do that. And that's how you could easily get to 20 sales a day just by playing on that. And the key is, even if you have a really generic product, obviously I'm not going to have the spiel about do a product that works well and all the generate USPs in your actual product development. This is past that point. But if you have something that's like a very similar product to this, but you just don't know how to compete against these accounts doing 100K a month in sales, what I'd say is create USPs based on keywords that you know you can rank for. That's like my biggest piece of advice to a lot of the clients and leads that we get through, who, I'll just show you the site for anybody who hasn't seen yet. This is the site that we run, AmazonSEOconsultant.com. We basically rank Amazon products from start to finish, and you can read this webpage for anybody interested. You can watch this video for the exact breakdown of how we basically rank everything. But for now, just remember that you want to find keywords that you can actually rank very, very quickly, aren't too competitive, that still have search volume, but you want to position your brand back to that point. So for example, plant totem pole. I don't think there's going to be anybody who's branded as an actual totem pole, but if you did that, you probably would generate some cool sales. So it's just about getting things that are different enough to generate sales on Amazon that aren't just competing in the same way, because you're never going to outcompete someone who's doing that amount of sales, because you just not going to be able. Hopefully that all makes sense. I'll go into that in a lot more detail in a later video. But any questions on this, let me know.